Hey everyone! A while ago I was tempted to explore a few statements, but opted not to because to do so without first providing an introduction to modal logic, which in turn wouldn't fly well without an introduction to formal logic, and cramming both into an exhaustive preamble would not just be a bit rough on you, dear viewer, but also pose a challenge to keep it concise. Suffice to say, the statement that I would have explored together with you left the impression on me, to put it nicely, that there was a discrepancy between the literature and the usage thereof in said statements. To put it a bit blunter, if John Doe is talking about cars as if being knowledgeable about cars, it would behoove him not to speak to anyone else knowledgeable about cars, matter-of-factly falsehoods about cars. Before working out some video on this, but after talking about it in general with someone who, air quote, doesn't know much about cars, air quote, by analogy, I opted for another route because I realized just how much of, air quote, knowing about cars, air quote, I had to preamble with. And I want to clarify here that the person I bounce things around with self-identified not knowing, quote, jack shit, end quote, on quote, that looks like algebra, end quote, with what I'm using as analogy here, cars, being formal logic, let alone modal. For funsies, let me just play the clip that I won't address. And for funsies as well, I will divulge that on my personal account I did have a quick off-air hangout with Trey that was aimed to feel the water of this discrepancy, or put another way, beg the question, what if any Trey could teach me about anything from modal logic, or vice versa.
Very bizarre and counterintuitive.
But yeah, I would say that. Irrational.
There is no analytical necessity for the universe having a cause, right? I mean, you can talk to someone like Matt about, he hates the idea of that. He'll say it's nonsense, in terms of other reasons, but he will not, I'm pretty sure he will not say it's logically impossible, right? Because he's smarter than that. People who understand logic would say you do not get that way. I mean, we can conceive we can use again the tool that philosophers actually use, possible world semantics. We can conceive of a universe popping into existence at world W1, where prior to that there was no universe.
Yeah, now, possible worlds are not necessary by definition.
But you don't understand, Trey. If something is possible, okay, and it doesn't lead to a contradiction, then it is logically possible.
But
therefore,
it's not necessary,
an appeal
right?
to it being, I'm not saying it's necessary. I'm not saying necessarily
but
this
you must have necessity,
you're
right?
The one, no, Trey, you're the one who is claiming necessity, not me. I'm not claiming necessity of these things. I'm arguing for possibilities.
Right.
You're the one who demands that possibilities are excluded and ruled out. You're the one who's doing that, not me.
No. I'm excluding possibilities without necessity because it's nonsense.
That makes no sense. You're excluding possibilities without necessities. That by the nature of possibilities,
it's being and becoming. We're just talking about simple being and becoming.
No, again, you go back to your words, Howard. Is it possible, Trey?
Do you know what being and becoming means?
I do, Trey. Do you know what possibility and necessity mean? It is possible.
Same thing.
Okay. It is possible that there is an infinite regress. It is possible that the universe.
Not because you say so.
No, it is possible because it doesn't produce a logical contradiction.
So you have an infinite regress of effects.
And for funsies, before someone wants to misread me, I'm not making the argument that if you can't do calculus, none of what you present to me pretending to be algebra is valid de facto. And it could have an interesting segue on fallacies that I know something about, let alone a segue from there on the fallacy, it's fallacy, and it's fallacy, ad infinite. That seems like a fun retort for a certain view on infinity. But as said, cute segue, I won't digress. And while I'm not digressing, I must mention that there is nothing immoral in of itself with supporting me on Patreon. A friend of mine would summarize that earlier part, by the way, as, quote, boo-hoo fucking who, broken clocks, man. End quote. Relating to the idiom, a broken clock is right twice a day. And this gives me the opportunity to emphasize I'm not going to play the following clip to insinuate any of that. I would have used the previous clip. I'm well aware that superlative was meant. This is a quote mine, and I'm not sure that he said it purposely. But I didn't want to withhold it from you. So here goes.
Yeah,
because it's pure being. It's the superfluous of everything. It is the highest perfection of everything, and because there's no becoming in it. So you can't.
I think that's a good